stars, see how we shine. We are the light that shows the world. God is the answer. God is the answer. God is the answer. God is the answer.
All right, thank you, Billy Larkin. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Yolo. My name is Reverend David Clark. I am the senior minister here. And oh, it's so good to see all of your bright, shiny, happy faces out there. We've got a very special service for you today. Two very special guests. Speaking to us today is Sacramento legend, Donna Appadoni. She scoffs. But if you have driven to work in the morning the last 20 years and listen to NPR, you would be hearing Donna Appadoni's voice. She is also a very talented speaker and a deeply spiritual person. She's Reverend Donna Appadoni. So we're going to hear from her today. And Gary Weinberg, my very close personal friend and very talented person. He's a known quantity here at CSL Yolo. So we've just got a lot in store for you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, and special welcome to our online audience. We are streaming live across the world, across the planet. And that was the result of a lot of work and a lot of pain and tears. But it's actually working. It's working today, and everyone can see us everywhere. So that is terrific. Let's see, what else do we got here, Dave? So, welcome. I just want to let you know what we believe here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Yolo. And first of all, if you're wondering, what is science of mind? What is religious science? What have I just stepped into right now? What kind of philosophy is this? Well, science of mind is a spiritual movement focused on the power of the mind to shape your experience. So we believe our thoughts are attractive, and so we pay a lot of attention to what we think here. And this philosophy emphasizes personal growth, positive thinking, and the belief that individuals can partner with spirit, can partner with God to co-create their reality through conscious thought and intention. So that is who we are, and here is what we believe. 4 main things that we believe. Number 1, we believe that love is all there is. Everything is a call for love, is a response to love, is a reflection of love. Your life is a love story. So love is all there is. And number 2, we believe that all thought is creative and influential. Thoughts are things. Everything you see around you has been preceded by thought. And everything in your life was preceded by thought. So we have to pay a lot of attention, and we do cheerfully pay a lot of attention to what we're thinking and what we're believing about ourselves and about the world. Because we know that that belief is going to be reflected back to us. Number 3, we believe that you are whole, perfect, and complete exactly as you are right now. When you walk through that door, you are whole, perfect, and complete. And we believe this about you, we believe this about ourselves, and we believe this because we come from a whole, perfect, and complete Creator that only makes whole, perfect, and complete things. So it's a very easy calculation to make to accept your divine inheritance of perfection. So, number 4, we believe in a world that works for everyone, and we're working from that world together. And it's not a world that we're trying to make work for everyone. It's a world that presently works for everyone, that's ruled by love and law and cause and effect. And the science of mind is a study of these natural laws and how we can use them to bring about our own good. So that's what we believe. And now we have our great opportunity to put that whole perfect and complete idea to practice as we have our namaste time and greet each other and look at each other in the eye and know that you are a whole, perfect, and complete person looking at a whole, perfect, and complete person. So let's have our namaste time.
Good to see you.
Oh, what a blessing that is, isn't it? Just to walk around with intentional good in your mind about the other person that you're looking at. If we could only do that more often throughout our day, through all of our traffic and everything. If you could just, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, if you could just say, namaste. Try that next time. So, now is usually the time when we bring up our practitioner of the day, but today, I am the practitioner of the day. So I will be reading our vision and mission statements and today's affirmation. So here we go. Our vision at CSL Yolo is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. Let us all say that together. Our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. All right. And our mission is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. Can we all say that together? Can we all stand and say that together and really anchor it? Because this is what it's all about. Our mission is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. All right. And today's affirmation. I'm going to have to cheat and look at the screen. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm going to read it once, and if we could all read it aloud after that. I find freedom all around me. I find freedom in my heart. Freedom is what I make of it. All right, all together now. I find freedom all around me. I find freedom in my heart. Freedom is what I make of it. All right, and so it is. And now I want to welcome up our board president, Peggy, and she is going to give us today's announcements. And let's give her a big old good morning. Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my God, I'm not that tall.
Oh, you can just put the. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. See, it was working, and I came and made it.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Somebody has to fix things that aren't broken.
Sure.
All right, we start today's announcements with the gratitude group led by June Robinson. And it meets the second Thursday of every month. The next group will meet July 13th at the Davisville Apartment Community Room, 1221 Kennedy Place in Davis. And our next event is one dear to my heart, Crush MS, on July 29th, Reed Family Vineyards in Napa. If anyone you know or love has struggled with multiple sclerosis, please consider attending this wonderful fundraising event. Crush MS was created by two small Napa Valley family vineyards, the Reed Family Vineyards and Counterpunch Wines, both families touched by a loved one with MS. In 2014, they teamed up to create the organization Crush MS. Also, both families are members of our sister community, the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. This event brings wineries from all over Napa Valley together to raise funds, bringing awareness and hopefully bring us closer to a world free of MS. Over the years, Crush MS has grown to hosting 30-plus wineries, great food, music, and an auction to round out the day. Monies raised goes to research at Stanford University and to the community support group for those who have family with MS and their caregivers. We have hosted as many as 400 guests at this event, and please check out the website, crushms.org, for full details, pictures, sponsors, and the list of wineries keeps growing all the time. And please consider joining the fun. And next, tomorrow is National Forgiveness Day. And at 6 p.m., Jason Gerardo will be facilitating another free online event for our community. It is about forgiveness and will take participants through a process called, and I practice this, Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
A Hawaiian Huna process of forgiveness. And I hope you'll forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. It will be about 35 minutes long, and please go to onepathcoaching.com to reach out to Jason if you want to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. As we enter into the more contemplative portion of today's service, please join me in singing The Face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Good morning. Our sacred reading today is from the Tao Te Ching. It's number 61. When a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers. If a nation is centered in the Tao, if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all nations in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now let's go inside. Let's go inside to that place of peace, to that place of perfection, to that place of stillness, to that place beyond all condition. And it is from that place that we declare that there is only one life, one love, one power, one mind, one consciousness. consciousness, one spirit. And the Spirit is everything. The Spirit is all-knowing. The Spirit is all-powerful. It is all light. It's all wisdom, joy, beauty. It is all love. It is all good. And as this one great Spirit is in and around and of everything, I know that I am also part of this great Spirit. So that means that I too share in all the power, all the wisdom, all the love, the light. I have access to it all. And as I know this about myself, I know this about each and every person here, that we all enjoy blessed divine equanimity, perfectly equal, each of us with equal access to the almighty, all-knowing, all-loving creator of all things. And I know that I am loved, embraced, encouraged, nurtured by this one. And as I know that about myself, I know this about everyone here. I know this about everyone that's not here. For this is the way of the universe, divine inheritance, to be spent any way we wish. I know this truth for everyone here. I know this truth for everyone across our beautiful planet, no matter where you are, no matter if you're in the highest office in the land or if you're in a war-torn area. We know this about you, that you too are embraced and enveloped in God's love. And it gives me great peace to know this. To know this divine connection is enjoyed by everyone and can be enjoyed by everyone. So, with a deep, abiding sense of gratitude, I release these words. I'm grateful for the words. I'm grateful for the truth. I'm grateful to God to be able to make it all true. And I release these words with the blessed assurance that they fall into the mind of the universe to be made manifest right in front of our eyes. So that peace is manifest before our eyes. So that love is manifest. So let us all, with joy and gratitude, with a full-throated proclamation of, and so it is.
And so it is.
Good morning, CSL Yolo universe.
Good morning.
All right, my name is Gary Michael Weinberg, and the song I'm going to sing this morning, after I take my glasses off so I can see it, is kind of about what David was talking about, the way that sometimes life tries to convince us that all is not really well, and what we as light workers can do to kind of prove that that's not true. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. split up into hopelessly tangled factions. It's like Mother Earth has gone to labor. And look out, here come the contractions. The world's gone crazy. So what am I supposed to do? I can throw a big tantrum, flagellate myself till I'm black and blue. I can take all of these alternative facts and I can make believe they're true, 'cause the world's gone crazy. So I gotta go back. I gotta breathe. I gotta go back to what I believe. I got to remember it's more than what I see. I gotta look for the love at the heart of me. You know the world's gone crazy. There's a phantasm of lies made up to convince ourselves not to believe, but to see with our own two eyes. Now the lies are good, they look just like us. They even eat hot dogs and apple pie. The world's gone crazy. So I gotta go back. I gotta breathe. I gotta go back to what I believe. I got to remember it's more than what I see. I gotta look for the love at the heart of me. Yes, it's time to go back. And then I breathe. I got to go back to what I believe. I can remember it's more than what I see. I gotta look for the love. Yes, I look for the love. I gotta look for the love deep in the heart of me.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, I have had the honor of speaking at services that involve David Clark and Billy Larkin and Gary Weiner. Never all on the same Sunday morning. Wow, that's fun. It's an honor to be here anytime, but it's really an honor to be here today because we're getting so close to a big holiday that I wanted to talk about a little bit. I don't know if you have noticed this, but July 4th gets a little bit different every year. It evolves in a lot of ways. In 2020, it was fabulous because nobody went to anyone else's party. Everybody stayed home. So there were like a lot of concurrent little parties in everybody's backyard. And you could shout over the fence to people, but you wouldn't really want to talk to them because it was right, smack dab in the middle of COVID and people were still a little bit concerned about partying together. We have also evolved to the point where there are silent fireworks. We've evolved to the point where there are drones instead of fireworks. Some people wear black on the 4th, some people wear red, white, and blue, which used to be a tradition, but that's evolving too. There are people in our area who used to live in Ukraine, who live in our area now, and they're just marveling at a different kind of freedom that they hadn't enjoyed before. On the other hand, there are people who have always lived in this country who don't think much of it, kind of assume that everything's going to be free, and we don't have a great appreciation of what we celebrate on that day. Every year at this time, I go back to the beginning. I read something or I watch something that tells me a little bit about the founders. I'm just kind of a geek that way. So I'm always reading at this time of year about Jefferson or Adams or Franklin. I listen to the soundtrack of 1776 every 4th of July, and I know all the words. You probably do too. Last year I watched the Ken Burns piece about Franklin, and this year I think I'm going to go watch the John Adams piece again. And I am such a geek that I have traveled back to the East and visited all of their homes. Yeah, I have. I visited Adams' home and Jefferson's home and Washington's home, and Franklin's home is no longer standing, but there's like a big hole in the ground where they show you where it used to be. I've been to the cemetery where a lot of the founders are buried in Philadelphia. I've been to the Unitarian churches in different parts of the eastern states where a lot of them prayed. And every time I think about the founders, I think, what would they say now? What would they say about where we are and what we're doing now? Does it agree with what they had in mind? Would they approve of sort of the evolution of their plan? Or not? What would they think? I've wondered what they would think about Congress. I've wondered what they would think about the Supreme Court. I've wondered what they would think about a lot of things that have happened in our country since their time. A lot of time has passed. I also think about the 3 words at the end of the Declaration of Independence. Our sacred honor. And I wonder what they were thinking when they said those words and wrote those words. What did it mean to them, and what does it mean to us now? What does that phrase mean? Why are those words important to us? Being a founder was no picnic. There was a lot going on for those guys. We have this kind of romanticized mental image of what the founding fathers, yeah, they were all guys, okay, but they had a lot of women behind the scenes who were taking care of the farms and taking care of things while they were off doing their colonial business. We have that romanticized vision of them because of that painting of everybody gathering around the tables with the green tablecloths and the setting in Philadelphia where they were actually signing the Declaration. We have this vision because of that painting of these very formal gentlemen with their sophisticated waistcoats and their good manners and their privileged lives, and boy, is that wrong? Not at all. I mean, a lot of them did study law. It was British law that they were studying. A lot of the people who were lawyers at the time were also farmers. Lawyers wasn't a complete living. It wasn't necessarily a career. A lot of them were farmers. And they had to leave those farms behind when they would go to Philadelphia to take care of the business of breaking away from Britain. They had to, who's going to take care of the farm when you're off on horseback in another city that's like days away from there? They had to count on their wives and their neighbors to help with all of that. They missed a lot of events at home. They missed births and deaths, and sometimes they didn't even know about those events until somebody else rode to Philadelphia the days that it took on horseback to get there from some areas until they could hear the news. Not only that, but they spent summer in Philadelphia. That is a deal breaker right there. Have you ever been to Philadelphia in July? Yes, I know, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It's hot and it's humid, and of course, no wonder John Adams was singing "Someone Ought to Open Up a Window." He meant it. But there they were, the Continental Congress. A bunch of guys who wanted to do the right thing. Not everybody agreed with them. They barely agreed with each other. I mean, if you read any of the documentation about some of the arguments they had with each other, it's amazing that we are not still part of Britain, because they just couldn't agree on very much at all. And after the document was signed, after they went back home, there were other rough times ahead of them. Some had financial ruin, some had threats against them for what they had done. The people who were really fond of being part of Britain wanted to attack these guys. So they had it rough during the planning, during the actual event and meetings, but then afterwards too. Life did not go back to normal for them. But in the end, and at the end of the Declaration of Independence, they stuck together with those words, our sacred honor, which is pretty cool. I don't know how you define freedom. It could go so many different ways to have that conversation, right? How do you define freedom? As many different ways as there are people in the room in most cases. Freedom is often discussed as being associated with one kind of government or another. Sometimes freedom is just driving through the orchards in a convertible with your hair blowing in the wind. Sometimes freedom has to do with financial success. Sometimes we feel free of some kind of emotional burden. We feel freedom. But how do you define sacred honor? How do you define sacred honor? And to whom would you pledge your sacred honor? Does it mean you would die for someone? Go to jail for them? Defend them under any circumstances, under all circumstances? How far would you take our sacred honor? Sacred honor goes beyond self-interest. It calls in a higher power. It's love, it's respect, it's tried and true commitment, and it's complicated. At best, it's complex. But just thinking about sacred honor helps me get into a place where I can kind of think about the commitment that the founders felt, that we sometimes forget about until it's time for the party on the 4th. The commitment that they felt to what they were doing, and what it must have felt like for them to feel that they had done something so important to free not only themselves, but thousands of other people from what they felt was the tyranny of the crown. And despite all of their differences and all of the arguments they had, their commitment to each other. Now, there might be a couple of different kinds of sacred honor. There's the kind that comes to us from a higher power, from the universe. We are all born, to some extent, with some sense of sacred honor. It's built in, and it's ours, and we get to interpret it. So even though I think it's built in to a certain extent, I still have to count on you and you and you to interpret it in a way that benefits all of us. We all have that decision to make. We all have that choice to make of what sacred honor means to us and how we'll carry it out. And when we use our sacred honor, it kind of glows. There's just sort of, when Reverend David is up here and he's talking about there is nothing but love, you see that glow. You see that glow of sacred honor in him, seeing it in each other. The sacred honor within, and then the sacred honor that we see in each other. Because I can look at each one of you and say, she's got it too, he's got it too, yes. So it always goes in both directions. That's how the bond develops. You felt that bond with people you know, right? That we're all in it together kind of a feeling. At some point, we've all felt that. That's how we build our tribes. That's how we know who our friends are in our chosen family, from having that. And those connections can be lifelong. Those connections can be fleeting. Those connections can be people you run into, once every 6 weeks when you come to Winters to speak to the group here. It doesn't matter. It's still meaningful. It still has depth, and it's still sacred honor. I have to tell you a couple of stories. One of them goes back to 2015. My sister-in-law and I were traipsing through Eastern Europe. We had a little thing going on there, and we were just in Poland for 2 days, and we said, what do we want to do? And I said, okay, there are 2 things I want to do in Poland during our 2 days. One, I want to go to Auschwitz. The other, I want to go to Częstochowa. Now, Auschwitz was shocking. There is nothing I've ever seen on film or TV that is like being in Auschwitz for real. For one thing, we were there in February. It's a big, flat, open area, and when that wind blows, that wind blows. And to imagine all the people who were in that facility for so many years, over the course of so many years, not just what they were enduring, but to have bitter cold on top of that just seems wrong on every level. They were people who lost their freedom. The Jews who were there and a lot of other places totally lost their freedom. And even those who survived it, even those who came out of that and found freedom again, continued to have to live with grief and bias and PTSD. That reminds us of that bizarre balance that happens between freedom and control. A lot of times when one group feels freedom, it's because there's some other group that's in control. There's always a balance. Are you free? Are you the ones in control? Or are you the ones who are submitted to something else because of the ones who are free and in control? One group often has freedom but takes it away from someone else. So when we think about our freedom and our sacred honor, keep that balance in mind. Then we went to Częstochowa, which I had heard a lot about. It's a very popular and well-loved shrine in Eastern Europe. And I had heard about pilgrimages that happen there. I wanted to see it. Well, it's enormous. I don't know what I pictured. I pictured something, a little small thing. It's an enormous cathedral, and people come from all over Eastern Europe to be cured. There is a painting of a Black Madonna who is called Our Lady of Częstochowa, and that's the city in which this facility takes place. People go there to be cured, and it's one of those cathedrals where all along the walls are all of the remnants from people who feel that they were cured there. So you see crutches and wheelchairs and rosaries and whatever it is. And it's an enormous place. And there's an enormous long line of people who are in line to pass by this particular altar so that they can be cured. So we went there. We were appreciating everything that was around us in terms of the architecture, in terms of the events that were going on there. And then the bells rang, the church bells rang. And everybody started hustling down the hallway to go to a service, to go to a mass. And my sister-in-law and I are people who will go to any service. We'll go to any. You're like, this is interesting. Let's go to that service. It doesn't matter what the religion is. We'll go. So we heard the service. We heard the bells. We saw the people going down the hall. And we said, okay, we're in. Let's do this. And it was packed. It was just one of many chapels in this cathedral. Absolutely packed. We barely got seats. We were sitting scrunched up together, like right on the center aisle. And the Mass was in Polish. We had no idea what was going on, but we could kind of follow along. There's a certain pattern to services in Christianity, so we kind of followed along until it came to the sermon, and then we really had no clue what was going on. But a few minutes into the sermon, a woman somewhere in front of us got up and walked out. That's interesting. I wonder what that's about. And then a couple of other women walked out, and then several other women walked out. We could not figure out why. And we must have looked very confused, because as we were mumbling to each other, what's going on here? Do you have any idea? A woman who was walking out of the church stopped at the center aisle where we were seated and said, He's telling us, referring to the priest, he's telling us that we'll go to hell if we practice birth control. So we got up and walked out too. And we were so grateful at that moment that we lived in a place that was, where we had certain freedoms, where we had, certain options that we could choose from. But that was 2015. And we had no idea what was coming in this country, that some people would find their freedoms lost to a certain extent. It was an interesting kind of situation to be in, to think that there is a freedom, and then to find out later that maybe it could be turned around. Another story, this is yesterday, I guess, was the anniversary of the Dobbs decision that turned around Roe v. Wade. A year ago, when that happened, the following Sunday, so that was the last Sunday in June, just like this, I went to a service not far from here just because I wanted to hear the speaker. I didn't know what was going to be going on in that service other than this person was speaking and I wanted to hear what she had to say. Before the speaker got up, the men in the congregation were led in a very interesting reading. All the men stood up. And they followed along with the reading, repeating every line from the leader in the group. And this congregation was packed. There were like 200 people in the room. All the men, straight men, gay men, trans men, stood up and pledged their sacred honor to every woman in the room. It was completely non-political. The timing of it, you could tell what was going on, but there were no political words spoken in the pledge. It was simply an opportunity to say, we see you, we hear you, and we stand by you no matter what. We are the men in your lives, and we do that. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was just such a beautiful thing. All of those pledges of honor, all of those decisions that we get to make, define our freedom in some way, define the balance of freedom in some way. Now, you may have differing opinions on oppression, on tyranny, on politics. I only have 20 minutes. But I want you to think about your version of freedom. What does freedom mean to you, whether it's connected to 1776 or to much more current news events? What does freedom feel like to you? Right now, do you feel free? In every moment, can you say you feel free? Or are there moments when you don't? It's just good to look at. And if you wanted to engage in greater freedom at any of those moments in your life, how would you do it? Would you let go of something? Is there something sort of holding you back or making you feel hostage? What would you do to achieve greater freedom at any given moment? Is it something you release or is it something you acquire, something you bring into your life? That basically you get to consider. Do you want to be meh or do you want to be yeah? We get to make that choice. What does freedom feel like? Not everybody gets to make that choice. So the fact that we can make that choice is important. What emotion comes with freedom? What does it look like? What do you look like when you feel free? Own that freedom. Own that feeling that comes with freedom. Don't look at it as something that is someday. Well, someday I'm going to reach that point and then I'll be free of the mortgage or the job or the whatever. Make it now. Make your freedom now. The freedom you want is yours already. Accept it and live in it. Say, freedom, come on down. Because it's ours. We get to do whatever it takes to get to freedom. You can take a chance on something. You can get political if you want to. You can be courageous. You can ride your horse to Philadelphia. But do something, because it's absolutely worth it to have that sense and that feeling. And one more thing. When you envision freedom, when you envision that feeling, when you picture yourself doing something that feels so dramatically free, who do you picture riding along next to you? Because the people to whom we get to pledge our sacred honor aren't necessarily the people we plan to have with us. They're the people who stand up in the congregation and say, we stand by you. They're the people who walk out when there's something they don't agree with. They're the people who share music together because it's something that we can find in common. We all have people riding along with us. We don't even know them. But we owe them something, and to them we can pledge our sacred honor. Maybe it's just a friend, maybe it's just you and your higher power, but it's someone with whom you can share that. That's the recipient of your pledge of sacred honor. According to the Ken Burns film on Benjamin Franklin, just after the documents were signed, and I'd heard this story, but I didn't know it was true, but you know, if Ken Burns says it's true, there you go. Just after the official documents were signed, someone said to Dr. Franklin, well, what do we have? A monarchy or a republic? And Dr. Franklin's response was, a republic, if we can keep it. A republic, if we can keep it. We all get to decide. We all get to make that choice, how we'll keep it and what we'll do. So let me read to you that last sentence from the Declaration of Independence. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Let's just take this into a moment of quiet, if we can. We recognize the rights that we have. We identify those who travel with us. We stand together. We pledge our sacred honor. And so it is.
Thank you, Donna.
Yes, thank you.
It's red. Okay. Yeah. Now that's working, I think. All right.
Cool.
Once again, thank you, Donna. I have to say, I agree with you about Philadelphia. I'm from Western Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh. And in Pittsburgh, what we know is, when we think about the relationship between the two cities, Pittsburgh hates Philadelphia, and Philadelphia says, no, where's Pittsburgh again? Okay. So this is a song. Well, they're all songs. It's one song or the next. But this is one that I particularly love, that I wrote, which isn't why I love it, but it fits the moment. Are you thinking that your life's a mess? What's gonna happen is anybody's guess, that's for sure. You just can't picture even one good thing in your whole sweet life ever happening. That's what you're thinking. Listen up, my friend. Wake up, my friend. You gotta think again. You gotta think again. You gotta think again. Walk for a while on your belly like a reptile. Anything you gotta do. Think again. Watch the world come to you. Oh, here it comes. That you're no good, or nobody loves you, nobody even ever could. You got a dark cloud hanging over your head. It's time to put those lying, nasty thoughts to bed. 'Cause that's what you're thinking. Wake up, my friend. You gotta think again. 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 How about you for doing? Just play that song all at once.
Gary Weinberg, yo. Oh my goodness. And can we get a little bit of love for Don Apadoni? Woo! Thank you so much. I told you it was going to be good today. I told you. We are a center that observes the spiritual practice of giving and tithing, and we call it conscious, committed, and structured giving. And there are many ways to give and expand your abundance consciousness. Oh, but before we do that, we have a new feature, and that's why it just went right out of my mind. But we have a new beautiful segment of our service that we like to dedicate to love. And we have our own love ambassador here, and it's Charlie. Charlie's going to come up and give us one of his prayers that he has written. Thank you, Charlie. And, oh, 1 second. It is not up on the screen. We don't have a slide for it, but...
The heart is shining love, bright is good, and all of the people who cares is about God and living humans in the sky with angels from this loving heart of joy.
Amen. Thank you, Charlie. All right. We are a center, as I mentioned before, that believes in giving and in sharing our abundance. And there are many ways to give. You can give through your time, through volunteering and service. You can give of your talents through participation, and we give of our treasure through financial donations. And your gifts help us in our mission to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. And we partner with a special organization every quarter. And this quarter that is coming to a close is the last week of this quarter, so it's the last time we can give to the Winters Senior Foundation. And their mission is simple. They exist to advocate, educate, and enhance the lives of seniors. So a portion of your gift today, we're going to give a portion of that to help support this worthwhile group. So there are many ways to give. You can give through, you can text to give. You can go out to our website, CSLYolo.org, and click on the Donate Now button. You can give through PayPal. There's a link in your bulletins. You can just scan that. You can also send a good old-fashioned check or money order to CSL Davis. That's our old name. We used to be CSL Davis, but we're changing things over. And to this P.O. Box. P.O. Box 1361, Davis, California, 95617. So now that we know why we give and we know how to give, let us enter the sacred consciousness of divine abundance. And I invite you to place your hand over your heart, symbolizing that vibrational energy of circulation, and say with me our abundance affirmation. I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. Today, I celebrate my prosperity and my ability to share from my overflow of good. I give from the knowledge that all is well. And release these gifts to do their work of proclaiming the good news that all is well. As we have freely given according to the law of circulation, it returns to us, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So we will always have more to enjoy and to spare, to give and to share. For this we give thanks. We let it be so, and so it is. And to the children, I was thrown off a little bit there. We had an impromptu jam session that just broke out. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was wonderful. We want to say to all the children that are out there, to the children that are out there that are headed in this direction, and we also want to say this to the children that we have nestled lovingly inside ourselves, that we love you. We are here for you, and we're so glad you're here. Remember, we believe in the power of connection at this center, Center for Spiritual Living Yolo. And what does that mean? That means we believe that we are connected to spirit. We are connected to each other. And that connection has power. Power to change things. Power to manifest things. And we exercise that power through affirmative prayer. And so if you find yourself in the need of prayer, if you are working on something today, if you are having trouble seeing your own personal wholeness, your perfection, your completeness, if you are, please come to us today and we will pray for you. I am the practitioner of the day, so please come to me. It is my absolute pleasure to pray for you and to know and see God's perfection working its way out in your lives. So prayer is what we're all about here. Also, we have fellowship time downstairs, and we have a fabulous fellowship time that is about to happen. We've got all kinds of yummy food down there. It smells great. I don't know what's being served, but it smells terrific. So you got to head down there right away, immediately after service, and get some of that hot, yummy food and some really good fellowship too. So please join us after our closing song and benediction. So for our closing song, we like to gather in a great big circle and sing the peace song. So we got some special lyrics that are up on the screen. So if we could all kind of get into a circle, we're going to kind of form up into something circular. If it's not a circle, that's cool. Please join us at home in singing this.
Take charge here.
All right, it starts off, yes, there is peace on earth.
Go forth today and exercise your freedom, knowing that you're empowered by the Creator of all things, and always know that God loves you. And so it is. So it is.